some weird-ass cars out there.
Yeah, well, pretty diverse. I mean, from that Volvo to the Elvas, and some of them were just not a fair matchup at all. The class
like I
just got crammed
said,
together.
I saw a videotape on YouTube of one of these Ginettas jumping on the track and kicking the shit. The same track, by the way. Starting off in last place and blowing past like every Cobra and every GT350 on the track. Like, it's a small track, it's a tight track, so you can see it. But I mean, when you got a car that's kicking the shit out of a Cobra big block,
it gets back to the handling aspect. The car is glued, and the guy probably can drive, throw down. So
yes, they can. So Sunday came around, and they got a little behind. My group was going toward the end of the day. That's me with my helmet hanging on the hook. They put on your roll bar. One more thing to go through your rib cage when you roll the car, by the way.
And that's a great looking driving suit to throw out. Another plug for Kevin. It's just
light blue. It's got the great, I guess it's got the Datsun comp patch on the sleeve with the two big horns hanging off the Makunis. And there's me, and I guess I'm buckling in my lap belt at this point, but somehow the shoulder. And with the adrenaline, the problem with adrenaline, the first thing that goes with adrenaline is memory. So when your adrenaline is pumping a little, you can't remember, did I get that shoulder harness on, or I just get the lap on? Or
memory and process, it just becomes automatic, but for stuff that you don't do all the time, it messes you up.
Right. And there's a reason why adrenaline gets rid of your memory, because it's like if you get attacked by a bear or raped in prison, you don't really want to remember it. Like, so you don't have the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Clearly, I remember nothing, so a lot of adrenaline flowing
through your life. So now we're staged up, or I think we're going to go stage up. We're just going down the pit row on the way to get staged. I ominously pull on my shoulder harness, thinking it's in place now, but it's hanging loose. So and now I'm just sitting behind an MG, and I think I can't really see in front of it. I'm putting my gloves on now, and I'm thinking, okay.
Low-key relaxed.
Low-key and relaxed. Clean off my sunglasses, and then we'll go stage up, and I'll make sure everything's in order. If you look down there, you can see the nice big white paper plate with all the...
It looks like a semi-truck shift pattern going there.
And if anyone wants to know, there's a couple yellow arrows that are pointing to a couple of gauges on my dash. If anyone wants to know why that is, those are the only ones that are important. I don't care about manifold pressure at this point. I just don't want to blow up my engine. So I just decided to put, since the car vibrates so much and you only have a few moments to look down at the gauges, I just wanted to make sure that the car wasn't overheating or I wasn't losing oil pressure. And again, cylinder, exhaust manifold temperature and stuff like that. I wasn't that interested in.
You're not monitoring your EGT as you.
No, as a matter of fact, what they ought to do is they have a huge tack on the dash, which is important. They ought to just get rid of all that other crap and just put oil pressure and oil temp and make it as big as the tack gauge and put it up there, because that's all you need.
I'm going one step further. Having the problem of not remembering to check the gauges, and then when you do, things are maxed out or zero and have an engine trouble. I got the red light. I have a trucker's red light on the dash, and I have it right now on zero oil pressure. I'm going to add another one for high temp, so it'll blink or whatever.
You're right. It'll tell you. It'll be like a smoke detector. You don't have to go stare at your smoke detector every night. You'll know it when it's going off.
Yeah, look at the gauges, asswipe. You're about to blow something up.
Right, and by the way, when you look at that gauge and you're vibrating and your adrenaline's pumping and all that kind of stuff, and it says like 240 something, or it doesn't even mean it doesn't mean anything. Since, by the way, all cars are a little bit different anyway. And modern cars don't have those gauges, so you kind of lose your bearing. Like, I don't know what my Audi operates at.
The check engine light. That check gauges. That's what we need.
So now here they are. Here we are getting our net up, and now I've realized, wait a minute, we're not staging. They're sending people out onto the track. They're just pushing people out onto the track, and now they're just waving me out on the track. So I'm thinking, what the hell? So now I'm reaching up to check my I'm now cinching down my shoulder harnesses and realizing
Not connected.
not connected to anything. Which, by the way, now you have to loosen them up. All right, so now there's an asshole that just passed me, even though I was qualified 19th and probably in 35th place right now. But now here's me attempting to drive with my knee and figure out what's going on with my shoulder harness. And my wife and kids don't come to any of these events, but they are in the stands for this event. And I'm realizing, oh, great, they're going to see Daddy go out like Dale Earnhardt against one of these walls. So right now I'm contemplating, should I just run the race without the shoulder harness? But the shoulder harness, in race cars, your steering wheel's a weapon. I mean, there's no airbag in it, and the shoulder harness is kind of your most important piece of safety equipment.
I like being strapped tight.
I like not moving around either. I like that feeling of being just strapped, just like an astronaut sucked in, because you feel like you can drive without flopping around. So now I have my full face helmet on. I can't see my waist. And by the way, if anybody ever sees one of those Simpson, I'm trying to think, yes, probably Simpson, the 5-way harness thing with the
cam lock?
Single cam. The opening for that fucking thing is about 3/8 of an inch by less than 1/8 of an inch thick. I mean, you're threading the fucking needle.
Yeah, even when you got time with gloves on.
You have no chance.
And if you don't get it right, it'll kind of go, but it won't click.
Right, you'll have no chance. So now I'm going through a hairpin, and we're coming down the back straight.
Still driving with his knee, by the way.
Still driving with my knee, and we're coming to the chicane, and I realize, all right, everyone slows down at this chicane. And if I can't get this thing in at the chicane, I'm lost. And then I'm contemplating pulling over at this point and just getting myself buckled in. Again, thinking about the kids up in the stands and all that good stuff. So now I go through the chicane, no success, and at this point, I'm pulling over. As I pop it in neutral, and by the way, with this transmission, neutral is down, over, up, and toward Mecca.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting there, and I got cars flying past me, and I'm trying to get this stupid thing buckled in. I still can't see for shit. I'm thinking about taking my helmet off, but then if you take your helmet off, now you're in another world. Now I cinch down, and I realized at a certain point I only got one in, but I was two into the race at that point there. Now the entire field is past me.
Last place.
Not only my last place, I'm 500 yards behind the guy who's in second to last place. If you look ahead of me, you'll see. Now the race has started, and I'm still trying to figure out my harness there, but I'm still in the back still in the very back. Now we go down to the what do we call that? The air dam cam?
Crotch cam? I don't know.
Now we jump ahead to me coming up on my first car, which is
Mini Cooper?
Yeah, well, keep in mind, I'm starting 40-something, low 40s, 41, 42, and I qualified middle of the pack, 19th, so technically I should be able to pass a few of these guys.
Well, the thing that's interesting, and I remember watching, it looked like the whole start was a cluster app from the beginning. I think the HMSA starter didn't figure out what was going on or was too pressed, but everybody that looked like they started was out of order. It just
really?
It just didn't seem like they had any idea how it was going, like the guy that just passed you at the start and things
there
like that.
Goes one of the 4-door Alphas I just passed by. Oh, I love that sound.
Yeah, it's a good sound from the front of the engine. A lot of it's a little different than the ass cam sound, so we opted to try it out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it sounds cool. By the way, tip the cap to Jeff for whacking together all of this footage. Here's a Alpha, not one of the faster ones out there.
Not one of the fast Ramici brothers who threw down.
Not the Ramici's threw down. Yeah, those guys are they travel. You want to do this seriously? You'll be in Portland one weekend and in Phoenix the month after that. Like you could go do the circuit. Now this is what am I coming up on here? It's a weird car. It's MG-esque, but it's
one of the Elvas or something. Or there's another weird one like that with it looks like it's got the Cortina taillights.
Yeah, it's a funky kind of cool 60s Britishy car. And like I said, the thing that's great about this race is it is a pack of M&Ms. I mean, there are literally, I would say 13 to 15 different model cars in this race, some of which you've never seen before. So now I've passed, 4 or 5 cars, and I'm actually doing what is probably funnest, which is starting in the back and
driving your ass off.
Yeah, instead of having everyone.
We go.
Yeah, well,
I see that looking at the chart. Consult the chart when having.
Consult the chart. But God bless the Datsuns. They're bulletproof, and I got the new confusing transmission in there and the 50 millimeter Makunis, so I'm making a little more top end. Although had an interesting conversation, Ganz, with a guy who does all the Bob Sharp preps, all the Bob Sharp 510s and Bob Sharp 240Zs and all that kind of stuff. And I said, oh yeah, you want those 50 Makunis in
no,
there?
You don't. No,
he said, no, 44s. And I said, well, what about the 50s? That's you get more horsepower out of the 50s. And he said, yeah, but more throttle response out of the 44s. And it's true. The bigger car, wide open on the straightaway, is better, but all the little bits and pieces throughout the thing, now we're running into a little bit of traffic here, so it's not always necessarily bigger is better. You get a little more throttle response. Coming up on a 510, even though I did not, even though I placed, ironically, 19th again, not again, last year I was 12th, but went back to my 19th qualification point. I still was the second fastest Datsun out there, which is some
it's amazing
point of pride.
Les does a great job maintaining the car, but he doesn't. He's not like a fanatic that has the motor torn down every time and diffs out, trans getting rebuilt. Everything is, it's like, hey, looks good, ran good, let's run it again the next time.
No, it is really nice because in between races, when you go to some of these things, you got guys dialing in camber, and they're going with a thicker front sway bar, and they're changing their suspension geometry, and we're drinking beer.
Drinking beer, looking for the schnitzel cart so we can get some red meat and something.
We'll be at the old Heidelbro house hanging out in between races. Yeah, that car, you don't do anything to that car. You just start it up. Now,
there's Bill's Datsun 510 in front of you.
Yeah, Bill is a good guy who has his car built and prepared also by a good friend over at Les, and who I think is constantly slightly pissed at me for passing him at these races. He's fast, and he has a nicely prepared 510 with a nice color scheme and everything. Bill's the guy, by the way, who
spun out last year?
I was just behind him last year on the last lap, and he spun out. And I know you guys have heard this story before, but it cracked me up, and you could see it from my in-car camera. We're coming up on the guy who is a paraplegic, by the way, and races his 510 using hand controls. I always feel bad passing that dude, and there's Bill passing that guy. Wait a minute, Bill went wide, but I had the line on this corner. Yeah, last year he spun out on the last lap after one of those big jumbo-sized cones fell down, and he said, when we got back to the pits, I said, what happened with this spin out, Bill? And he said, some asshole clipped one of those big cones, and next time when I came around, I was laying in the middle of the track. I'd like to find that guy. And I have, I was right behind him. I have footage from my car of him clipping the cone and knocking it down.
Yeah, he hit it the first lap, got it wobbly.
I barely got under it, and then the second lap, he hit it. It spun him out, but it was funny when he said some asshole clipped it. It was right through there. It was right through the chicane. Now's me coming up on another batch of 510s. I tell you, those 510s in race trim just look goddamn awesome, don't they?
Yeah.
Just timeless.
You've never seen almost a bad one. I'm really more partial to the oddness of the 610, It's just a little different, and in the crowd, it stands apart different, and you look at it, that's a bitchin' little car.
The 610 is cool, as I always say. Ooh. Love that sound.
Yeah, you're clearing out the pack there.
The 610 is cool because it's the only one out there. If there were 10 610s, then you'd want to be the guy in the 510. And actually, I had an interesting conversation with a guy named Sean Pritchard, who's over at Sharp Sight Motorsports, who maintains all these cars and is basically a fountain of information on me coming up on Ron now, the world's biggest man in the world's smallest car. Ron hangs out with Les and company too, and races at 2000 Roadster. And I ain't calling Ron fat. Ron is a dude. He's got ankles the size of your thighs. He's just one of those dudes.
He's just a big guy.
He's just
refrigerator.
He's just a natural 300-pound dude, right?
Yeah, and he's in the little Roadster, and it's just
it's hanging out, and that thing's going up on 2 wheels.
He hauls ass in it, so he does all right.
So I got around Ron, and now I'm hitting a little smooth air here. But this guy brought up something interesting about the 610 that I'm piloting right now, and if you guys ever see it up close, it has a candy, great shot here, candy lacquer job from 1972, original that's crazed, by the way, with a clear coat over it. And he said, "Where's the other 610?" And I said, "I think that guy Troy."
He's someone with an E.
Yeah, Ermish. I thought.
Yeah, Troy Ermish.
He's building it. He's building the original.
I've seen some pictures of it. It was he was getting into paint last time.
Yeah, he said he's just building the original one. But this guy Sean brought up a very interesting point. He said, "You know what? As I go by the cement barriers, why do they put the cement barriers there?" He said, "You have the only early Bob Sharp car. You have the only Bob Sharp car with an original paint job." I said, "Wait a minute, let me think about that." And I said, "Yeah, the tube frame stuff, the later stuff, the Newman stuff, and then he started getting into the later tube frame stuff still is original, but that we're talking about from the later 80s and the 90s and Camaros and stuff like that, Firebirds and whatever. But of the Bob Sharp, 240Zs and 510s and 610s, those have all been totally redone."
So that was when I remember when this car got first pushed into the shop here. I go, "Hey, this thing's bitching," because you look at the paint, it was really nice, except the clear coat just kind of looks like it holds the cracked and crazed paint together.
Right. So this is the only early Bob Sharp candy lacquer original paint, and that's because it was coming up on the Cortina. Yeah.
And I don't understand this, because those cars are usually pretty fast, and maybe it's just he's getting loose all over you because that's how those cars drive, but he looked a little squirrely.
You'll see him get up on 3 wheels on occasion. The thing that was funny is when I talked to him after the race, here's that fucking Ginetta behind me.
Yeah.
What the hell? Does that thing weigh 1,200 pounds?
1,200 pounds, and the guy's probably about 100.
I just passed us about 80 miles an hour. The thing that's funny about the Cortina, I want to pass the Cortina before I know we're coming up to the end of the race. The guy in the Cortina, when I talked to him after the race, I was like, "Yeah, some pretty crazy driving there." He said, "Well, I left the door wide open for you. You passed me." I was like, "Wide open? You were sideways half the time. Look at his ass is all over the place. You show me where he left the door wide open for me."
Yeah, nowhere.
And he was getting loose on some nice 70 series tire. There he is again. And there's just me going for a ballsy sort of inside, get to the finish line move. And again, so came in 19th place and had a good time, but still somehow would have liked to have been somewhere in the middle of the pack there with everyone else racing. But still, more fun to start at the back and be past 20 guys than start in front and get passed by 20 guys, I think would be the moral of the
thing that I
story.
like about it looks like everybody has good fun driving, not coming out pissed off, like, helmet into the trailer and like.
No, good dudes, good day, good crowd, good family fun, and one of the many reasons the terrorists hate us.